News Radio. We are with Alan Watt, cuttingthroughthematrix.com. And Mr. Watt, we've got about 5 minutes left with the interview. I'm going to turn it to Brian. He's got one more question, and we are here on the Liberty News Radio Network.
Yes, Alan, I would like for you to go into the education system, or actually more appropriately, the programming system. We had, H.G. Wells back when saying to use children, and then, of course, now we have Al Gore encouraging children to question their parents. I'd like for you to go into that for us, please, sir.
Yeah, a whole bunch of experimental schools were set up in Britain, first of all, by Lord Bertrand Russell. He's given royal assent to do this, in other words, permission. And through scientific indoctrination, he also worked alongside with the techniques of Pavlov, who was using the same techniques in the Soviet system. The idea being to train a new generation of children in a completely new way of thinking that would bypass their parents, what they called contaminated morals and ideas, old-fashioned ideas. And they were very, very successful. They found out, and Russell found this out, that if they can get the children into kindergarten within a very short space of time, with a scientific indoctrination put over on the children, they'd go home at night and their parents' input would be bypassed. It wouldn't even be absorbed by the children. This technique has been perfected, and the idea was to get rid of contaminated thoughts of old generations and bring in this new. Now, in socialism, remember, the elite want to run the whole world the way they think it should be ordered. We're just too stupid at the bottom to understand this, according to them. And so they always go for the youth to bring in a new generation. We saw that Nazis did the same thing. They were a socialist, national socialist organization. The Soviet Union did the same thing. They were international socialists. Now we have the real thing that financed both of them, in fact, running the world. And they want to have an organized, planned society. They'll decide how many carpenters they want in a country, how many engineers, educators, etc. All of that's to be planned. It's just too untidy, they say, the way it is, where we have auto-determination. So that's really the whole idea behind it. And they believe that within one generation, they can literally bring up children who will be completely alienated from the past, completely indoctrinated towards the collective idea of society. That's what's coming in now. And under socialism, there's got to be an ongoing war. Socialists only exist under war. You call it fascism or socialism, it's the same thing. And that's why we're under 100 years war that was announced by Bush at 9/11. So it'll be 100 years war, they said. What they mean by that is by the end of the 100 years, they will have the reduced population of society. They will have brought into effect all of the institutions and authorities over the public to guide the public into this new system, where we'll all be working towards some common goal. What they call this in the universities is positive freedom. There's an idea that Isaiah Berlin, a philosopher at Oxford University, came out with. He worked with Rand. They used his ideas to run game theory for the last 20, 30 years. It's been used. It's still being used right now. And under positive freedom, what it really means is the whole world must be at war against a common enemy. Now, the common enemy is us, the people themselves, that have auto and self. The Club of Rome, the big think tank that comes up with working on ideas to run the future, said they looked at all the systems in the world and they favored, over all of them, the collectivist or Sovietized system. That's what we're seeing coming into play. The planned society, an upgraded Sovietized version, where we will basically be run and guided by government agencies from birth to death. And shortly, I kid you not, they're coming in to say who should be sterilized. They're already indoctrinating the young children who will come forward. We've had volunteers already coming forward voluntarily to have themselves sterilized to save Mother Earth and to stop overpopulation and all of this stuff. This is a horror show under the guise of war. And supposedly we, being superfluous, are destroying the planet. So the planet's at war with us. We're at war with the planet. Therefore, we must save the planet. That's the ideology, because you always have an ideology, a religion, to back socialism. That's what's happening right now.
We want to thank you for joining us today, Mr. Watt. And again, your website, cuttingthroughthematrix.com, a lot of information. People need to go there and check it out. And we consider you a real patriot. We'd like to have you back on from time to time. I'd like to give you the last word. Anything you would like to add today?
Yes, it's not over till the fat lady sings, but we've got to have the will to want auto-determination and we've got to kick out the control freaks, because that's truly what socialism is comprised of. It's an army of utter superior elitist control freaks. We've got to get rid of them before they destroy us completely.
Well, I want to thank you again for joining us, and you have a good day, sir.
And you too. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, we're back on the Real News here on WSIC 1400, WDSL 1520 on the Liberty News Radio Network. There's a lot of good information if you want to check out the news. It's a good source of the latest news, libertynewsradio.com. We'd like to take some phone calls before we go off the air, so I want to give out the new phone number. This is the only number you can call in on, and it's 1-866-986-6397. Again, 1-866-986-63. If you'd like to call in before we go off the air. Did I give the whole number? I'm going to give the number one more time. 1-866-986-6397.
And is that 6
News? News, yes. 1-866-986-NEWS. So if you'd like to call in again, we're planning our Tea Party event Wednesday, April 15th, noon. We did have one guy come by and picked up a Obama deception video, so we have one left.
We have one left, so it's going to go to first come, first serve.
You have to come before 11 o'clock. We'll be out of here at 11, and we will have plenty down at the event, April 15th, noon to 5. We want to have as many people out that will join us, make signs. We've got plenty of signs. Just join in the protest if you feel like you're overtaxed, if you're tired of the government totally disregarding the will of the people. And like Mr. Kokesh said, Brian, this is nothing new. I'm not saying it's new. This has been going on for a long time. But I think here in the last 8 months, we have seen them just take the mask off, total disregard for the will of the people. But there's something I was saying at the top of the hour. Next week, we're going to update Al dealing with the property taxes in Davie County. He's trying to fight the good fight. He's got a lot of good information there, and we might have him call in by phone next week and explain what's been happening to him in the property tax situation there in Davie County. We'd like to give him as much support as we possibly can. So again, the phone number, 1-866-986-6397 if you'd like to call in. And if you need to contact someone about a protest, then I've got a phone number you can call Brian at if you need some information, and that number is 704-682-3921, but call in after 2 p.m. We'll be on the air till then. And we're going to go ahead and go to the phones. Hey, you're on the Real News.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I just got the last few minutes with your guest, and it got me to thinking about what's going on at church. And it seems like over the centuries, if you study it out, that civilization goes as the degree of enlightenment in the church goes. In other words, we go in and out of dark ages and so forth. And I go to a mixed church, and it's so-called Pentecostal, full gospel, and everybody confesses Jesus is Lord, but half of the idiots voted for Obama, including the pastoral staff. I don't understand how that jives. I thought you
maybe missed our last week broadcast, but this is something that I take up and harp on. A lot of people probably don't care much for, but the church embraces all these pagan rituals. The Easter egg hunts that they're taking part in predates Christ's birth, and they welcome it right into their lawn, and they're taking part in the spring goddess pagan ritual of an Easter egg hunt has nothing to do with Jesus Christ's crucifixion. I feel like the church as a whole has by far lost its way. We've got a break in about 1 minute. I'll give you the last word. Where are you calling from, sir?
I'm calling from Statesville, North Carolina.
Anything else you'd like to add today? Can you join us April 15th at our Tax Day protest?
Yeah, I'd love to. If I'm in town, I travel a pretty wide sales territory, and I've got a list of where the protests are going to be, and wherever I'm at, that's where I'll be.
Oh, thank you, sir. We're coming up on a break. Appreciate you calling, and we will come back with more news and calls after the break here on the Real News with Farron and Bryan.